Hello and welcome back to the Funfiltered podcast. I am Sam and I am joined as ever by Jordan.
Hello.
And Eddie.
Hello.
You alright?
I'm alright. So you're gonna throw it on to me to say, aren't you?
No. Well, I'll tee it up. We have a big announcement today on the podcast.
Yes.
I'm trying not to, because generally when people say we have a big announcement, it's kind of G'ing up, surprise, isn't it? Anticipation. But this is a downbeat announcement.
Yes. Yes.
We have an announcement today on the podcast.
You're still gonna make me laugh when you do it like that, though.
This will be Eddie's final episode.
Dun dun dun.
It's better than you being downbeat going, Eddie will continue to be on the podcast.
The fact that merits an announcement.
Yeah. Yes. Final episode. I've got to take care of myself a bit better. Obviously, I was away for a few weeks earlier in the year. Because of, I say a seizure problems, shall we say.
Yes.
It's the aftermath of the last sort of thing, which I'm still dealing with. And I need to focus on taking care of that and getting myself 100% fully fit.
Yes, and that does not include continuing to do the podcast, and so we are bidding you farewell.
Indeed.
Sad occasion.
It is.
Have you enjoyed your time with us?
Oh,
are you glad to?
No. I've enjoyed it massively, absolutely massively. I did say, I spoke to my mother last night. I told her, and I said the only thing is, because I don't listen when it's me on it, so you will gain a listener. Because I will listen every week now because I'm not on it.
We're glad you're going now. We'll get our numbers up.
Boost the viewership. I'll still continue to like it on every different thing I have and share it.
Good.
But yes, final episode. But we're gonna go out on a high and we're gonna have a good laugh for the final episode.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Well, no pressure.
You're the reason that the podcast exists.
Yes.
Realistically,
it's the fact that, because I thought about this, it starts obviously from when we started the scripted, and I came to you obviously to do an episode, and we didn't have another host, and we were like, we're waiting for Jordan, and then Jordan came on, and he went, no, this makes sense, the three of us, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's continued under that guise as the three of us. Yeah,
Jordan was never planned to be a part of this, was he?
Oh, I resisted. I resisted on that first episode. Yeah. Didn't want to be a part of it. I sent you a text, Eddie, that you were like for you to read. I was like doing it I'm this, long time listener of the show, love you guys, love what you do. I was curious about, and I asked you like this really stupid question.
I remember.
And you were like, well, we'll discuss it when you get here later. And I thought like, oh, he's just being silly. But then you were like, no. You're on the podcast.
Yeah, you do.
Like, oh, that was a joke. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Do you lament that, Jord, or are you happy that we dragged you onto the air?
Well, now that like the growing pains are sort of subsiding and it's more clear what this podcast is, I feel a bit better about it. Because initially I thought like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? What the fuck am I going to say?
Yeah.
I mean, we still have weeks like that. It's fine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
that was just proof of it.
Yeah. It's proof. I'm literally looking at the list I've got. I still don't know what we're talking about first. So
okay. So now that we've got that dark cloud hanging over the episode, we're gonna lose a person. Let's get to it. Let's have a good old episode.
We are not the people. This is so like E3, isn't it? It's just we are not the people you bring out to stir up excitement.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Should we do a film review first? No, Jord, you had a question.
You got a question, Jord.
I do have a question. Yes. Yeah. I was thinking about this earlier in the week. If you found out that there was a way where you could gain 10 IQ points, but at the cost of an inch of your dick,
right? Would
you take it?
No.
No, I wouldn't have a dick then.
Me and you were on the same wavelength there, Sam.
Exactly the same wavelength.
No, I don't. I think I'm happy with my IQ.
Okay.
I think adding to it would just cause more problems for me.
Right.
I was talking to my father about this the other day, actually. Not about IQ, but about, I think my mind is quite powerful in both bad and good ways.
Okay.
And mainly in bad ways. In that, like, I can invent, terrors that don't exist, and I can make them real.
Right.
So I think if you added IQ points, it would just make that more tangible.
What if it worked the other way around? So you would gain an inch of your dick, but you would lose 10 IQ points. Would you consider that?
Yes.
No, I'll tell you why, right? You brought up IQ, so this isn't a brag, right?
Okay.
My IQ, it's just, like, it is just on genius.
Right.
Like, I get to genius by 1 point, basically, or 2 points, depending on which one you do. So if I lost those points, I wouldn't technically be a genius anymore.
But it's not like oh, there's genius and there's idiot. There's like smartness underneath genius.
But if your IQ was classified as genius, would you want to lose points and not be a genius anymore?
No. Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because that's the subtext of this question. What do you value more? Do you like your dick or your intelligence?
Well, I mean, my dick doesn't get much action as it is, so I my intelligence is definitely carrying most of the load. So I suppose I value my intelligence more than the size of my penis. Yes.
Okay. How many IQ points would you have to lose for you to start, for it to start mattering? If we're going on this exchange system where it's like 1 IQ point for 10 IQ points for 1 inch.
Right.
Like how many inches
would I have to lose?
Gain?
Okay, that'd be fair enough.
It depends how high your IQ is already, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is none, right? Like, it wouldn't matter how big my penis was. It's not going to fundamentally change anything.
No?
It wouldn't make me all of a sudden go up to girls in clubs and like...
I mean, you wouldn't change. Your penis would change. You wouldn't change.
I wouldn't change.
Well, no, you would change. Like, say, for example... you gain 3 inches, you lose 30 IQ points. You would change.
Sam would still be the socially awkward person that wouldn't go up to people in nightclubs.
Yeah, I'd get more stupid. The point is that, but there's no silver lining to it.
Well, you have a bigger dick.
But to what end?
If you know how to use it, George, the size doesn't matter.
You still have to get
another asset that you can flaunt.
You still have to get to a point though where you get to use it.
Yeah, but if you're stupid,
you kind of need to talk your way into that. You can't just whop your dick out and go, fancy some?
Yeah, but if you're stupid, that might seem like a viable strategy.
I mean, stupid people do that. But yes, no. Like, as much as I joke about it, I think it's fair to say, I mean, I'm not the Sam levels of IQ, but I wouldn't really want to lose my IQ for the sake of an extra inch.
Would you want to gain IQ?
No, I don't want to lose an inch off my dick.
Okay, what if...
I'm fairly content with how smart I'm kind of not really am, but yes.
Okay. It's good that you went for that. It's like, I'm content with how smart I am rather than I'm content with my dick. I'm doing all right.
I mean, I'm content with that too. It's average at best, but, I'll take it.
I'm sure most men would want a bigger dick. The point is what the sacrifice you have to make. Like, if you just say, right, if I could lose like 1 or 2 IQ points and gain several inches, then I would take that deal.
Yeah.
But no, if you're talking like 10 for 1, then that's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
No, well, you got to make it fair. Like if it's 1 for 1, then it kind of, it's sort of a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
yes.
Yeah, I think 10 for 1 is probably a fair exchange in terms of making it like an interesting question.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I'm surprised that you both basically went, no, I'm fine in both areas. I thought there would be at least one like scenario where you were like, I would consider that.
No,
change.
don't get, like I said, if it was like, do you want a bigger dick? It's always going to be yes.
Yeah.
Just the deal that you're offering, I can't accept.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know it was a possibility until this hypothetical. Do you know what I mean? So I haven't really... I've had to be content with what I've got.
Okay.
I've had to accept my lot.
Well, let's say that science miraculously advances to a point where it would cost less IQ points to gain an inch of your dick.
Right.
How many IQ points would you be willing to lose for an inch?
Well, it's for an inch.
Yeah.
Oh, like 1 or 2.
Oh, no, that's not really...
No, but I mean, No more.
You're not really losing anything there. You're not really sacrificed because you can't have both, right? You can't have a big dick and be smart. It's got to be if you're going to excel in one.
There are people out there that have big dicks and smart.
Yes, I'm sure there are people who have both.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people that have both, and we don't like those people.
No, insufferable
because
bastards.
they have everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going to like rapidly excel in one area, you have to like be lacking in the other.
Yes.
Right? That's just like that's just like
No,
fairness.
That's how it works. No, because the thing is, you could be smart, have a big dick, but not know how the fuck to use it. In which case, you might as well not have a big dick.
But if you're smart, you could learn probably very quickly.
It depends what kind of smart.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just going by IQ, that's a very particular type of intelligence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily translate across the board.
Well, what about percentage then? Let's drop IQ. Let's just go with percentage. So you'll be 10% smarter
across the
board,
but
you lose an inch of your dick across the board.
Oh no, not if I have to lose an inch of dick. No.
Okay.
No. No way.
We hold on to these inches preciously. I can't
get either of you to budge on this, can I?
Well, what's your answer?
Yeah, Jord. Where do you stand?
I'd be curious to know what happened if I just went all out with it, you know?
A retard with a massive schlong.
It's interesting that you considered that angle, Sam. It's interesting that you immediately went to, he clearly wants the bigger dick. He doesn't want to just like lose his dick entirely and just gain IQ.
That's just funnier to me.
The big dick.
That's just funnier to me. But I assume that would be the case, no?
No, not necessarily.
So you'd go for total intelligence and no penis.
I think both scenarios are interesting. I think like if you just gain like, I don't know, like 30, 40 IQ points out of nowhere, then you're going to be able to occupy yourself with other things than just wanting to have sex all the time.
Okay.
So the dick isn't really necessary. Likewise, if you just have a massive dick, but you're a fucking idiot, all you're going to want to do is fuck. So in both scenarios, you're kind of like...
I mean, I use my penis for more than just that.
Yes.
Yes, but if it's
if
massive,
you lose your
that's
dick
kind of the
completely,
only place in which you've got an advantage.
If you lose your dick completely, what happens about urinating?
Oh, you can still like we'll say that's all. Like that can still happen. Like obviously, sex would be impossible, but it doesn't like interrupt typical biological behavior.
Well, if you're going by soma, if you're going somatically, then I would argue that the idiot with a massive penis is probably happier than the genius with none.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's evident just from life, anyway.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. It depends whether you want to make a lasting contribution to the world or whether you want to be happy.
And that's the choice that we have to make in life, isn't it?
Well, I suppose, again, given that I've already accepted the fact that
I'm a genius.
Like not that I'm a genius, but if it's between being a fuck monster and just living in bliss, or like creating something, I'm probably leaning a bit more towards the latter, I would say. Then I've already accepted that I'm not going to be, that guy.
Yeah.
But what would you then, Joe? What would you take? Would you lose 10 points for an inch?
See, that I really don't know. I'm not entirely sure what my IQ is. I know that it's not terrible.
No. It's probably higher than average.
But I wouldn't be able to give you like a specific number. So I don't know like what I have to lose in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't know if like losing 10 IQ points is the difference between like who I am now and like a catastrophically stupid version of me.
Yes.
But yeah, the extreme scenarios are what interest me. Like I've already said, like being like you said, having a massive dick and being an idiot, or having no dick and being like really intelligent.
Well, it's also subjective, isn't it? Because each person, they would have to lose a certain amount or gain a certain amount to be considered big.
Yes.
Do you mean it's like someone might be on the cusp of already being rather large, and an inch or two will do, and then there's other people who might need several inches.
Yes.
So it sort of depends what the I mean, I'm not going to ask the question.
No, of course. That's the direction it was going in.
But obviously,
just hoping someone would steer us away.
It's obviously dependent on that, isn't it? To some degree.
Let's just all play it safe and just assume that
we're average.
Let's just go with the average. Like,
okay.
Let's just assume in this hypothetical, the person who's going through the change is average in both respects.
Okay.
So it's what, like 5 or 6 inches is the average.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, it's 5 or 6. It's 5 or 6
average
inches.
Penis size.
IQ, I think it's about 100.
I think 100 is average. Yeah.
Yeah, 100 is average.
Yeah, average length is 6 inches for a
6
dick.
inches. I don't know what IQ has to dip below to be considered stupid.
No, I think
the average 80? IQ score is bang on 100.
It is 100. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think 80 is sort of when you start needing like help in school. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Do either of you know your IQ?
I know it's above average. I don't know the rest.
Okay. George, yours is probably above average as well.
Yeah, but like I genuinely know. I've no idea.
Yeah, because I've technically got a higher IQ than my sister. She just knows how to use it, and I don't.
Right. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, like, I'm not actually a genius. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I did a few IQ tests, and I was like, again, I just hit it, but that doesn't translate to anything. So
yeah, when you say you're a genius IQ, did you like just about hit it in one test, or was it an average?
No, it was an average. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, if it was just one.
Like, oh, my IQ is typically like 120, but I did one where I got like 180, so that's clearly my IQ.
No. It was an average, yeah. I think it was like, it was 145. And depending on the test you do, it's either 140 or 145.
Right.
Counts as like thing. But again, like, so what? You know what I mean?
Okay.
It just means that I was good at an IQ test.
Yeah.
I actually heard the other day about a guy who... I think his IQ was 260 or something like that.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm not sure what the highest ever is. I think it's out of 300 IQ.
Yeah, was it Einstein? I think Einstein is...
No, Einstein's 160.
Oh, 160.
There's a guy that had the highest IQ ever.
No, not Einstein, Tesla.
I was going to say, because there was a 12-year-old... I'm literally looking at it now. There was a 12-year-old girl that scored higher than Einstein in 2017.
There was this guy, it was 260, and I think he basically did nothing with it. He wrote a couple of scientific books, and that was it. Like, he never did anything with his intelligence.
Yeah.
260, though, I mean, that's like... that's barely operable, isn't it? I don't even know what that means.
Genuinely. Like, obviously, if you've got like an IQ of like 40...
Yeah.
Like, you barely be able to function as a human being.
Yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely think, like, if you go the other way, if you have, like, an IQ of 260, it manifests differently. But it's the same problem.
You'd be paralyzed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, paralyzed with intelligence.
Yeah.
But genuinely, like, you'd sort of be so smart that you wouldn't... I think you wouldn't, like, get things.
I think it would be like sensory overload.
You would overthink and outthink everything, basically.
I mean, I overthink anyway, but...
Yeah, so imagine a guy with 260. Like, how bad that would be.
Yeah, I couldn't be any smarter. That's just not a thing.
Yeah, I'm content with where I am. I don't want to be...
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like, I guess that's nice. I presented this fun hypothetical to you, and the result is, no, I'm happy with who I am.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, that, isn't it?
I want to reiterate, I would always accept a larger penis.
Okay. You just don't want too many conditions attached to that.
Yeah, I don't want any terms and conditions. I just want the larger penis.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, if you get an email through that says they can do it for free, don't accept.
Oh, I've learned that. Yeah. I have a question.
Oh, okay.
What are parents going to tell their children this year about Father Christmas?
Oh, you know what? I've actually seen a bunch of stuff about that already.
Have you?
Yeah, like there's a lot of like social media stuff. Like, you know, it's okay, kids. We're practicing social distancing at the North Pole, so
right,
I can still come visit you. I'm not going to spread COVID.
Right.
Yeah, just a lot of like reassurances that Christmas is not cancelled and that Santa Claus is still coming.
But in terms of the social distancing thing, like, what are they going to tell are they telling their children that Santa is immune? Because I was thinking of the evolution of the Santa myth, right? Because when everyone had chimneys, it was he would come down the chimney, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember asking my parents, what about houses that don't have chimneys?
Yeah.
And then it became, he has a magic key that unlocks all doors.
Yes, exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's going to be an appendage to that now. Something else is going to have to be added to it. Or Santa's immune from COVID.
They're really going to have to, like, we need a permanent fix now to that chimney problem.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck house has a chimney now?
Yeah, I guess the magic key. I mean, because Santa's in the at-risk category, isn't he?
He's massively in the at-risk category.
He's obese. You know?
In terms of his health.
I mean, he's got to be diabetic at this point.
He's old. Yeah, he's got to be diabetic, yeah.
That man eats fucking cookies every fucking Christmas and he eats fucking thousands of them.
Yeah, he works one season a year. Like, so he must be mostly inactive.
Yeah.
I do. The thing with the set like Santa, given how he looks like at Christmas, you'd think with someone who has 3 seasons off, he'd be like in the gym getting hench all year round.
Pumping iron so he can scoff on cookies next year.
Yeah, but then no, he's always a fat lump that just tries to break into your house. Okay, leaves your presents, but, you know, occasionally might leave you a tangerine or a lump of coal. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Or maybe he is. Maybe he is hench as fuck when he starts on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, maybe. And he just gets fatter.
Yeah.
But no, I've seen Santa out of season and he's still fat.
Is he? When do you see Santa?
I've seen Santa loads of times.
When? Where?
Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Why didn't you tell me?
I've seen him about, you know. I've seen him around like April, May time.
Right. Okay.
He's still fat.
He's probably like he's eaten like what 7 million like portions of cookies.
Probably more than that, right?
I mean, I was going to say you said 7 million when the population of the world is billion.
Oh, billion. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, I mean, does Father Christmas go? Does he go to the Middle East?
They'd probably shoot him down, wouldn't they?
They'd shoot him down. But I mean, like they don't celebrate it there. So
no.
Is it all the children of the world, or is it, you know, the Western Christian children of the world?
That. I like the passive aggression of Santa still delivering to the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's like you will fucking celebrate it. It's the last thing I do.
A kind of benevolent crusader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've never considered that question in my life.
But it's true, though, isn't it? Like, communist China, no Christianity there, you know.
Yeah, you know, there's all this like, oh wow, isn't it like amazing that Santa gets to visit the house of every child? He doesn't.
No.
Most of the world doesn't believe in him.
Yeah.
So it's actually like incredibly plausible that he would visit every house.
Yeah. When you think about it, it's actually Santa's an incredibly rarefied belief, a rarefied myth, because you just assume all children the world over believe in him, but most don't. And then you've got the ones that do, but are then disabused of that notion when they get a bit older. So it's actually very, very small percentage of children that believe in him.
Yeah.
But we kind of associate him with, you know, all of childrenhood.
Yes. Yeah, he's kind of like a what's the omni thing?
Yeah.
Omni thing. What's
omnipresent?
The word? Omnipresent, yeah. He's sort of an omni... Is that the word? Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
He is a
Does he stop delivering to people who don't believe in him anymore?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
He's a creepy guy, though. Without saying, gosh, in terms of all things 2020, he's an old white man that comes in your house in the middle of the night day a year.
Why is white? Why is that? What's that got to do
Because he is the old white man.
Why should Santa's gender matter, Eddie?
It doesn't matter, but he is an old white man. We've all seen
Not
him.
only that, you're assuming his gender. Who knows what Santa identifies as?
I mean, we've known for long enough. He's an old white man that comes into your house.
He spent his life amongst little people. He's clearly very progressive. His entire workforce is diverse.
He's Father Christmas, isn't he? So we know that he identifies as a man.
Maybe that's just the patriarchy's label for him.
Label for him.
Also, you say he's progressive because he's got lots of little people working for him. He's basically enslaved thousands of small people to run a workshop.
Hey, we don't know. Exactly. We don't know what Santa's like dental is like. We don't know like how many benefits those elves get. Like what, 300 holidays a year? 300 holiday days a year.
But they also create toys and products for every Western child. You know, ostensibly. And so the working conditions must be like Rockstar or something.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of crunch around Christmas, definitely. But also, you've got 300 days to recover. And also, like, your boss has the biggest crunch of all. He's got to do all of his work in, like, an evening, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they get paid, though, for those 300 days. I don't think, like, he's got them on retainer.
He'd be losing a lot of money if he did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where is he getting money in the first place? Santa doesn't earn money. So those elves can't be working for
We're assuming that he eats those cookies. Maybe he has like a like a bakery business on the side. He sells off all those cookies, and that's what he uses to pay his
well,
workforce.
it's a bit shady, isn't it? Because the biscuits are usually like half eaten, aren't they? Or like they're crumbs and all. Like he's even making it look like he's eating them.
Yeah, so we don't suspect that he's. But then again, why would he have to hide his cookie business? Like those cookies were gifted to him. Like it's all above board.
No, it's not. You can't like if I gave you a gift and then you say, "I'll sell that," then. Yeah, it's a bit.
It's a bit shit.
Yeah. It's a bit like, oh, well, okay, fuck you, I guess, but it's not illegal.
It's not illegal, no. But I suppose we don't like to think of Santa as a capitalist in that way.
He's literally the symbol of Coca-Cola around Christmas time.
Yeah, but no, that's not Santa.
Not only
Santa,
that, but there's that whole thing about like Coca-Cola are the ones that like codified the image of Santa,
made him red. Yeah. Yes, but. That's not Santa, is it? That's just some charlatan or an animation. Santa isn't paid by Coca-Cola.
That's not the real Santa. #not my
They've appropriated his
image. Imagine if it turned out that was how Santa lived all year round. He had a Coca-Cola like brand deal.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, and that is how he made his money. You'll find him in like the supermarket just selling Coca-Cola or something like throughout the year, and like that's how he does it. Yeah,
oh my God, is he the CEO of Coca-Cola?
Do you know what? That would be so sad, but makes so much sense.
Well, they do have like the secret recipe. Maybe he keeps it up in Lapland.
Maybe he's the secret CEO. There's like a guy above the head of
secret
Coca-Cola,
millionaire,
and it's Santa. Yeah.
Imagine him showing up as like your secret boss or something.
Yeah, like trying to disguise himself.
There's like a guy. They're in like the meeting room, and they've got like the chart with like the arrow that's like going through the floor. It's like our quarterly earnings are down, blah blah blah, and you just hear like jingle bells approaching. Like, fuck, everyone, the boss leave now.
Santa's coming and look busy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess because Santa, he symbolizes. He's the epitome, isn't he, of just charity in a way. He just gifts children dependent on how they've behaved throughout the year. Although I suspect that even children who haven't behaved that well still get presents.
Yes.
So realistically, that's just a bit of a con.
Well, so it's like corporations nowadays who are like, oh, we support Black Lives Matter. Oh, we support our friends in the LGBTQ community. Yeah. All of this like transparent. Oh, we're actually like good people we're good companies who care about the well-being of people. Like it's the same thing with Santa. He's like this ruthless capitalist. That's like, oh no, one day every year I like give presents to children for like no reason. I'm a good guy. Coca-Cola's a good company. You should support them.
If that was the thing though, but otherwise, let's assume that Santa Claus, his image has merely been appropriated by Coca-Cola, and he's not actually directly involved with the company.
I think it's far less likely than him being the actual CEO, but okay, sure.
Okay, let's just go with that hypothetical for a second.
Yeah.
There'd be no cause for him to generate public support because there's no product that he wants to sell.
No, he wants to sell Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but this is it. This is if he's not associated with the company.
Right.
Actual Santa.
Well, no. Like, hang on. Is the hypothetical that Coca-Cola have just appropriated Santa's image and Santa has no connection to the company?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, in that case,
he could sue them, surely.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be liable.
Well, he can't afford the court fees, can he?
Start an OneyFans. Santa can have an OneyFans. Santa can have an OneyFans.
Ho 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 OneyFans. Let's go.
Or maybe that's why he's got his cookie business on the side. He's actually like trying to raise the funds to take Coca-Cola to court.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
It's been going on for fucking decades.
Maybe he still dresses in green. Maybe that is a complete perfection.
Red was my favourite fucking colour, and now I've got to dress in green to differentiate myself.
Yeah. Because Santa originally... Well, he is green, isn't he? He did dress in green, and then he's only red because of Coca-Cola, so...
Can you imagine, like... Coca-Cola turning up on Santa's doorstep with like a cease and desist, being like, we own your image now.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to dress up in a different color. Like how pissed off would you be if like a company like turned up on your doorstep and went, we own the rights to you now. Basically, you have to do what we say.
I think that happens on Twitter a lot, doesn't it? Where, before people become celebrities and then the people with accounts of that name, and then like they have to be bought out essentially.
Oh,
by
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Well, it was bad enough for Boss Brewing when Hugo Boss sent them a cease and desist letter. So
yeah, that's ridiculous. That is, isn't it?
It's ridiculous, but that's like company on company. That's the kind of like legal action you sort of expect to happen. It's when it's like companies versus people. That's when it gets a bit like, hang on now.
Well, no, it basically is. You're talking like corporation versus small independent company.
No, I know. Yeah.
The thing with Boss Brewing, though, because I see all they had to do really was change 2 of the names of their drinks in the end.
Yeah.
But one, which was Boss Black, became Boss Brewing Black. And the other one, which was Boss Boss, became Boss Bossy. That's all it changes. Like,
okay.
You know, so it's not like it cost them, what, 20 grand in like legal fees or whatnot.
Yeah.
And all they did was add a couple of extra words. Like, it's the most ridiculous case I've ever heard in terms of like a big name against a small name.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like anything's
outcome.
Really been solved there.
No.
I mean, Hugo Boss haven't sent a cease and desist letter since, so...
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know.
All right.
So, was your question answered in all of that, Sam?
Not really.
I can't remember what your question was.
Yeah.
What are parents going to tell their children this year about Father Christmas?
Okay.
No, I tell you what, actually, I do hope. I'm waiting for the kid that's parents rather than say he's immune, because immune will probably be the biggest like go-to.
You can't catch it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is the parents that accidentally tell their kids that he's got the vaccine.
He's got the vaccine. Yeah, that'll be in the stocking this year.
Yeah.
I do know of one parent who told their child he's got COVID, so he won't be delivering presents this year.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
It's a good get out, isn't it?
That is amazing. Yeah, you ain't getting nothing, mate. Santa's got COVID and you got it worse than anyone else.
Yeah. Like, you can only get away with that for so long, can't you?
Nah, so you can catch it twice. You can catch it twice.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, like, as far as the child believing in him, it's like, if you want one cheap Christmas, now would be the time to do it.
Yeah, it's just it gets the next year the same family like, he's got COVID again.
Yeah, it's seasonal. It's
Yeah.
seasonal.
They're like, but we have a vaccine now.
They've released the worldwide vaccine for COVID. Yeah, but I haven't got to.
It's not been the North Pole. Yeah, they don't even have Wi-Fi up there. Has Santa ever caught the flu? He must have.
Yeah, he's got 300 days where he's not doing anything. He must.
Well, I think given the conditions that he's living in, i.e., the North Pole, he's probably got like a medical team on staff to deal with like all of the like symptoms that would come with. Like he's probably got like, you know, maybe he's got like the cure for frostbite or something.
Frostbite specialists, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you think, because if there's any kind of illness in the elf community, like that is spreading like wildfire.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
They work in close quarters, right? Close proximity.
They live they all live together.
Yeah. So, has COVID hit the North Pole? Could it hit the North Pole? I guess
it's too cold up there, isn't it?
Proof's in the pudding, right?
Mm.
We'll see what happens when December rolls around.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a cheaper year, I reckon, for Santa.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the economics of it. Like, I don't know how much money he has to funnel into raw materials so he can make all the toys. But I mean,
I will say, given what he delivers to some people, it is amazing how well he makes an item look exactly like one in the shop.
Oh yeah, packaging and all. Like,
yeah, it's unbelievable how good he is.
It's part of the ruse, isn't it? Like you gotta make it look exactly like the thing. As part of Santa's, like, oh, I'm a charitable person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to take the credit for all of my work. I will, like, do my work in such a manner where it looks like the parents did it.
It's like that Usual Suspects thing, isn't it? The greatest trick Santa ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Yeah.
I kind of like the image of somebody doing that. Like, they've gone to all of this effort to disguise the fact that they exist and that they're doing this, like, he's delivering presents all over the world. Just for a laugh. Like, he's mystery, not hiding... Yeah, he's not, like, hiding a maniacal scheme. There's no, like, alternative, like, motive at play. He's just doing it because, like, I just want to see if I could.
Well, he's just he's cultivating a cult of personality, isn't he? I mean, the fact that his existence is shrouded in ambiguity is what makes him a legend.
Yeah.
You know? So, I feel... as concretely real as we all know he is, he's injecting mystery into it.
But he's fucking with us because there's so much like media and there are so many images of Santa out there in the world. We all know exactly what he looks like. We all know exactly how he operates. We all know exactly what his behavior is. It's like in those mob movies where the police are like, they have like friendly conversations with the mob bosses. It's like, we all know who you are. We all know that you kill people. We all know that you're head of like the mafia. We just don't have the evidence to arrest you.
Yeah.
It's like, we all know who you are, Santa.
We know where he lives as well.
Proof.
But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he looks nothing like that.
No, but we know where he lives.
Yeah,
maybe
we know where he lives as well.
Maybe he doesn't even live there. Maybe he lives in the South Pole.
Come on, Sam. Come on.
No, it makes more sense. Antarctica is a landmass. You know, the North Pole is just a frozen sea.
Yeah.
So maybe it is. Maybe
Santa from the South Pole. That's a conspiracy theory to me.
Do you think that's a byproduct of? We were saying earlier about like, houses don't have chimneys anymore, so they need to like, we need to come up with a permanent fix for that. Santa like coming down the chimney problem. Is it a similar thing with the North Pole? It's like this when this legend started, there was no Arctic. It's like, oh yeah, like all those frozen waters up at the top of the planet. Yeah, he's definitely up there. But now there's like an actual landmass that people can walk on and like check it out. It's like, oh fuck.
Well, like Disneyland sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's been invented. Well, what makes more sense to you? That obviously he's got reindeer, right?
Yeah.
Are they more likely to coexist with polar bears or penguins?
I take your point. I certainly take your point.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about penguins now.
Because I think Santa's more likely to live in the land of penguins, not the land of polar bears. They're savage fuckers.
Well, no, they keep the riffraff out, don't they? The polar bears.
Do they guard the dome of the Santa dome?
I mean, if he's got elves on payroll, there's no way Santa doesn't have some polar bears on payroll.
Is that how he keeps the elves in line? He threatens them with the polar bears.
We're back to him being a ruthless capitalist and dictator again.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't avoid the truth, George. Like, just got to accept it.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on from...
Should we?
All right.
Okay, yeah. Should we actually review a film now?
Let's do a film review.
Yeah, review a film. Review a film.
What are we going to review?
Relic.
Oh, joy. From Santa to
Relic.
To fucking Relic.
I suppose I'll give a brief synopsis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Relic is an artsy horror film along the lines of Hereditary that's basically about an elderly woman who is suffering with dementia, and her daughter and granddaughter travel to her remote house in order to look after her after she goes missing. And as the film goes on, dread builds and things devolve as it appears that there's some manifestation of the illness kind of lurking in the house, and indeed something maybe off with the grandmother herself. Thoughts on Relic?
It's very good. It's very good.
Well, that is the film you've described. Like that is basically the film. There isn't much else to it. It's so tight in focus.
Yeah.
That you've kind of explained everything, basically.
Plot-wise, yeah. I mean,
it's not too heavy on gore or anything like that. Although the skin thing is disgusting.
There's a bit of gross out. There's a couple of jumps, but not really.
No,
it's that sort of brand of horror movie where like horror fills the film in the same way that like water fills a bathtub. Like it's sort of gradually sort of rises around
rising
you
tension.
Kind of, until you're kind of soaking in the horror of everything. Well,
the thing I'd heard mainly about it was that it was a really good film, but it was kind of like a horrible experience.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as horrible as I was expecting.
In what respect was it not as horrible as you were expecting?
I suppose I just expected it to be bleaker. And don't get me wrong, it's pretty bleak. But I think the fact that it's a relatively short film is like part of its saving grace, really.
Oh yeah, it's like an hour and a half long.
Hour and a half, hour 29. If it was like 2 hours, I think it might have become unbearable. As it stood, is like, it was just mounting tension. And the big climax of the film really isn't that much of a climax, as far as horror films go.
No, it was sort of it's like, oh, we're here.
Yeah, well,
we're in the final portion of the film now. I will say that's one of the things that I not that I wasn't thrilled with, but like that sort of climax of the film. You've got the daughter who's in one location, and then you've got the mother who's in another location with the grandmother, and they're both like the horror is sort of rising for both of them. Are we spoiling Relic? Because there's kind of so little to this film. Yeah, I feel like spoiling it kind of robs. I don't want this review to become a substitute for going to watch the film,
I think we can spoil.
Yeah?
I think we can spoil. Yeah, I mean, because it is... it's an experiential film, isn't it? It's not like we're going to spoil the plot. You know where it's going to go.
Yeah. And I suppose the fact that you've mentioned like that the grandmother is suffering from dementia and there seems to be a manifestation of that in the house, that's already sort of given away where the horror comes from. You know?
Yeah. It's an old school horror film in that it's about an idea, and it's about a very human fear that they've made kind of not supernatural quite, but like extra natural, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that like fight when the daughter is sort of running through the maze of where the house is like shrinking around her.
My favorite bit.
Yeah, and then that's cutting back and forth between the mother sort of being with the grandmother as she's being taken over by the dementia.
Yeah. Like
those scenes were sort of cutting between each other. And I just kind of wish that they'd stuck. Like I wish that I'd spent more, because that scene where those scenes where the daughter is running through the shrinking maze is like genuinely harrowing.
Yeah,
it's so uncomfortable. It's so terrifying. But they were always cutting away from it, so you were always granted like this slight reprieve. It's like, oh, at least I'm out of that now.
I know what you mean, but because events are happening simultaneously, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I felt they probably felt they had to kind of raise the stakes in both camps, you know, and then they kind of meet, don't they?
Yeah, I understand in that respect, but the unfortunate side effect of that for me was that whenever I started to get genuinely uncomfortable with the maze, it would cut away. So feel like, you finally got me to the place you wanted to get me, and now you've left me. You know, you've cut away now.
Yeah, it like leaves you teetering on the edge as it goes, and then it
never tipped fully into claustrophobia for you.
Yeah, no, it never did.
Okay, I got like as a horror film, it wasn't particularly effective for me. I suppose because I knew where it was going. There wasn't much in the way of dread. It's a very dread-laden film, but I don't know. It's hard. You know, like The Haunting of Hill House. Like, for me, that primarily functions as a family drama. Just with the trappings of horror. This similarly has a similar thing, which is it didn't really work as a horror film for me in that way. It didn't scare me, or it didn't make me very uncomfortable. There were moments.
Yeah, it definitely felt like the horror was a tool that the story was using, as opposed to just a straight up horror film.
Yeah, for sure.
An interesting thing that the film did was the villain, if you like. Obviously, it's the dementia, it's the mind kind of falling apart, but obviously expressed through the grandmother. And an interesting thing that happened is, even as they were the creepy moments with the grandmother, you know, as she was kind of talking to herself and all these different things. I was never alienated from her as a character. I felt sorry for her rather than being freaked out by her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. That 100%. I felt sorry for her for like 98% of the film.
Yeah, like when she's burying the things and she just has that breakdown, like where is everyone? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, she's not a horror villain to me, you know? Like
no.
That didn't override the trauma that the character must have been experiencing.
Yeah.
The moment in the bathtub did kind of gross me out though.
Yes, that's pretty gross. Yeah, she has like this bruise that kind of becomes mould, and she starts like tearing herself apart, you know.
Yeah.
Performances,
they were all good.
Yeah,
they're all pretty good. They all play it very well. I think Emily Mortimer has like a naturally sad face.
She does.
So putting her in a film where she has to be sad most of the time is kind of cheating. But she does play it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before I don't have like proper notes, but because I like made one note really close to the beginning and then just watched the film because I really wanted to enjoy it, which was just me writing old lady ass.
Okay. All right, you enjoyed that, did you?
Because it's like close to the start of the film. It's just a picture of the back of her.
Yes.
Like as it like the shot closes in on her, and then you just slightly see her face, and I was like, right, that's the start of this. Cool.
Yeah, it's great. It starts with the Christmas lights that flicker in and out.
Yeah.
That's a nice little visual metaphor. I didn't make any notes about it either. I just watched it, especially given that it was so short. A good horror film for me is one that you walk away with it with images kind of burnt into your mind. There weren't many in this. I loved the final image.
Yes.
Of the three of them on the bed. That was brilliant. Like, that says everything.
Yeah, that image alone is just a perfect summary of the film.
Yeah. And that was bleak, you know?
Yes.
Like, that was, oh God, yeah, we are all going that way in some way or another, aren't we? But,
yeah.
And obviously, like, this is massive spoiler. The ending of the film is the granddaughter notices a bit of, like, a bruise or some mould on her mother's back, implying that she will also fall victim to the same fate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it kind of crystallized for me in that moment. It was like, oh, yeah, that is pure cinema right there. The three of them on the bed, you know, that image.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say about it.
Yeah, it's a very, like I said at the beginning, it's a very tight film.
Yeah.
So there really isn't that much to talk about. Like, everything is done well, but there's also there's not much to get wrong, you know?
Yeah.
I think the only thing that they could have got wrong in this film that would have significantly ruined the film was how they handled dementia. And I think it was done very tastefully, which is
no one's criticised how they displayed it.
No, absolutely not. And rightfully so. I didn't love it.
No, I didn't love it, no.
No, it's nothing special.
I wouldn't say that.
No,
I know. I feel like we've already had our, like, debut darling this year, and that was The Vast of Night. This is not a debut darling. It's a really good, well put together little horror film, but this is not what I'm ever going to return to, I don't think.
I'm inclined to... so I agree with you in that I don't love it, and I'm not inclined to return to it, but I would disagree with it being not a debut darling. I think it is incredibly well executed.
It certainly shows off the potential of the writer-director.
Yeah.
But this film itself is nothing... I don't think it's anything too special, you know?
Well, I do disagree with that. Again, like, while not loving it, I would argue that it's special in... It is the Babadook the Witch of this year, isn't it?
Well, it's funny you mentioned The Witch, because I was thinking of The Witch a lot when I was watching this film. Like, you've got, like little comparisons in that was also, like, the debut of that writer-director. You've got, like, this is a horror film, but it's really this, like, you know, claustrophobic, like, family drama. But I feel like the richness of the setting and the dialogue of The Witch means that film survives multiple rewatches, and it sort of carries you through the quieter portions of the film.
Well, I mean, I would put it kind of in the center of those films. So if The Witch is high end, and I don't know, what would be the low end of that? Like, I didn't love The Babadook, so I suppose I would put that on the lower end. I'd put this, like, above The Babadook, personally.
Okay.
It's not as good as Hereditary. It's not as good as The Witch. It's not as good as The Lighthouse.
Do you think that the writer-director of this was gutted that Hereditary was already taken as a title?
Probably, yeah.
Because that would have been a pretty, like, appropriate title for this film.
I suppose it would ultimately, but for most of it, I suppose it wouldn't be, would it?
No. Why
the
Relic?
Twist would be Hereditary. Why Relic?
Because I don't feel like... I suppose the obvious interpretation to take away from just the title Relic is, she's, like, from a bygone era, and she, like, you know, everyone she knows and everything that she understands is sort of gone, and she's the only thing that's left of that. There's that moment where... Because there's the neighbour's kid, I think, is the one with Down syndrome in the film. And the daughter brings her up, and the grandmother goes, "Oh, yeah, the retard."
Yes.
And that's, like, the only moment in the film where it feels like it would represent that. It would represent, like, the grandmother's from a different time.
Oh, I would say it's called Relic because her body is a relic. Like, she is no longer there. It's been possessed by something else, you know?
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I accept that as an interpretation. Yeah, that's a pretty solid interpretation.
You know what I mean? Like, if you have dementia, like, you're just an antique now. Like, there's nothing... You have gone. And it's just a shell of what you used to be there. Yeah. Occupied by something else, you know? I suppose that's what I would take away from it. I don't know. I feel like a lot of horror films, the titles are cryptic, aren't they? So there's an element of that. But I suppose that would be my interpretation.
I mean, I will say, I think I enjoyed it more than you two then, but I couldn't tell you why. That's the only thing. Like, I would rewatch it, but I couldn't give you anything more or less to say, oh no, this is why. It was just, it was alright. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah,
I'd probably watch it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't discourage. I would never think of discouraging anyone from watching this.
No,
I think it's worth caveating that this is, this isn't like scary horror. This is kind of depressing horror.
Yeah,
like it's horrible horror.
Yes.
So keep that in mind when you go in to watch it. And I do think there's going to be some people, especially if you've lived through that, if you've had a family member who's gone through the process of, or is in the process of like losing themselves to dementia. Actually, that's a question I wanted to ask you. Do you think the film will be too much to watch? Like, oh, this is too real. I can't be doing with this. Or do you think it would be seen more as like a coping mechanism, like a tool to help you express the experience?
I don't know, because the film, it walks that tightrope, doesn't it? Very finely between the problem is if you're depicting dementia in a horror context, that it's like you're kind of vilifying it. Sounds like the wrong word, but you know what I mean. You're stigmatizing it. I know that sounds, but it doesn't do that. It depicts it as it is a horrible thing, like dementia is a horrible thing. And it just depicts that in the context of a horror film without ever kind of turning it into something that's not.
Yeah.
I suppose if you were going through it, if a family member's going through it, you probably wouldn't want to watch it.
No.
But I know a few people who have had relatives, fall victim to dementia, who have said that the film brilliantly encapsulates what that is like. So maybe like after the fact,
Yeah. Like further down the line, it probably is something you could watch, yeah.
Yeah, and see if it rings true. You probably don't want to tune in if you're going through it in your actual life.
No.
Because
I was thinking that when I was watching it. It's like, why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah.
Why in general would people put themselves through this? Like, oh, I'm going to create this horror film about dementia and a woman losing herself to dementia, and then I'm going to have this really bleak ending where, I show that like, oh, the cycle's going to continue, and it's like, why do people want to put themselves through that? Why is there a market for a film like this?
Well, horror films are masochistic,
but
aren't they?
Does that refer more to? Because when you say that, I think more of like, on the extreme end, you've got something like Saw, where it's like, it's gory and it's intense, but you've got other films like, I suppose, The Exorcist, where they're more like scary. Not The Exorcist, but like,
Yeah, see,
like those films are scary or they're jumpy. Like, this is just like horrible, Well,
that's why I personally would put Saw on the light end of the spectrum. Like, all you're putting yourself through there is disgust. Like, ugh. That's kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Whereas a film like this, yes, it's worse, right? Because it's something that's real.
Yes.
And, all horror films to some degree are masochistic. You watch them to put yourself through the ringer. But then if it also happens to be about something that's very real, it has art to it as well, doesn't it? It has that artistic dimension to it.
But do you think most people would appreciate that? Do you think that's just a facet that like film people enjoy?
Yeah, I think this is a horror film for film people.
Yeah,
this isn't a horror film for, as we talked about in the last. I don't know if it stayed in actually, but about young white women who say they love horror, and that just translates to The Conjuring and Insidious and all that.
Oh yeah.
This film is not for them.
No,
not it. Yeah. If there was something more to it, honestly, it's the kind of horror film I'd expect might pick up the odd award nomination along the way. That's what it is going for.
Yeah, it's classy. It's classier, kind of. As it stands, I don't think it will. Maybe a few kind of debut awards.
Yeah.
But it does that thing, though. I've noticed that these classier horror films do. There are no jumps per se, but there are like false jumps.
Yeah.
So the thing that you're expecting to jump at is something else.
Yes.
So like when the granddaughter is initially in the closet and she sees like mold or like scratching on the wall or whatever, and she like is creeping in to investigate, and you expect him to jump out at her, but she just like pulls the clothes on the rack back.
Yeah, and the sound is
the
loud.
Sound of that. Yeah, like that. It's kind of a half jump. It's like it's a classy horror film jump. It's a cheap jump.
Yeah. Or like when the mother is looking at under the bed because the grandmother's convinced that something's under the bed, and she looks under the bed, and then like a book falls on her head.
Yeah.
It's like you're expecting something to grab her from under the bed, but that's not the case.
Yeah. See, things I took the retard thing as not a sign that she was out of time necessarily, though it could mean that. I took it more as just like it was making her nasty. You know what I mean? Like at times. Because like with the granddaughter, when she gives her the ring and then she demands it back, it kind of it makes you hostile. You know, I just took it as that, like someone who would have otherwise been very caring towards this boy, and is now describing him as a retard. It's just like it's activated that part of her brain.
Okay,
but it could well mean that she's of a bygone era where that word was acceptable.
Maybe. That's good. If it could mean multiple things, and that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. Do we recommend it then?
I do, yes.
Yeah, yes. I would recommend it. I would like approach with caution. Oh, yeah. Like I don't, it might not be, like I said, it's not horror in terms of like, oh, it's jumpy or it's creepy. It's just like an unpleasant in a sort of intentional way. Yeah, it reminded me of It Comes at Night a little bit, which is similarly a horror film which is just deeply unpleasant. Yeah. Approach with caution, but it is a recommendation. Yeah. The daughter's hot.
Yeah, I was avoiding saying that.
The mother's hot.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
The grandmother's hot.
Well, she's got, cracking
especially
ass.
At the end.
Cracking ass, yeah.
Especially at the end, yeah. She's this...
I do love peeled off flesh.
Goal infused with lung cancer.
Well, I'm going to stick to the topic of dementia.
Oh dear.
Okay. To bring up the passing of James Bond, Mr. Sean Connery.
Oh, did he die of dementia?
He died of dementia.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, right, okay.
So he had dementia. Whether that's what killed him is a different matter. But he had dementia.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we've lost the first James Bond.
We have. And we actually planned on talking about James Bond a lot, didn't
we? We have, on two separate occasions, we were going to launch like a sort of, similar to what we did with Doctor Who, where we were going to talk about all of the James Bond films in the run-up to No Time to Die. That is still our intention.
Yes.
But No Time to Die seems to be, it's in this perpetual cycle of being delayed at the moment. Yeah. Usually coinciding with any time Billie Eilish does anything.
Yeah.
Like she released the song and it got delayed. She released the video and it got delayed. So we will eventually talk about it. But yeah, it's sort of, he's gone now.
Yep.
Do you know what the first article I saw about it was? It was basically saying, he was good and all, but like, let's talk about his attitude towards women.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's like, he just died, literally. Yeah. My mother told me, and then that was I Googled it, and that was the first article that came up.
Yeah.
I was like, just the utter lack of...
Way to diminish the guy's achievements.
Yeah. And like he did have a questionable attitude towards women, but that's not what you talk about straight after he's died.
No. You maybe wait for the dust to settle, and then you sort of talk about like, okay, let's actually talk about his life properly now that we've now that we've paid our respects.
I mean, he is a BAFTA, Oscar, Golden Globe winning actor.
Yeah.
Like...
iconic.
He almost basically defined and revolutionized the start of like Bond being
Well, all Bonds are compared to him, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's a certain portion... I think most people would say he was the best Bond.
He's the best Bond of old.
Yes.
I think Craig has a shout for sometimes being a better performer, but
yes,
his films sometimes let him down.
Yes.
Well, Craig has Skyfall under his belt. That would make anyone a hell of a contender, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But then Connery has Goldfinger.
And From Russia with Love.
From Russia with Love.
He does. Yes.
He will always be the quintessential Bond, won't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any favourite non-Bond Connery films or performances?
Oh, The Rock.
The Rock.
It's so obviously The Rock.
The Rock is good.
I'm trying to think what I've actually seen him in.
It made me think I've got to rewatch a lot of his performances. Like, he won the Oscar for The Untouchables.
Yeah.
And I saw that years and years, like as a child I saw that, basically.
Right.
So that deserves... I remember his accent not being brilliant. Because I think he's got to do like a Belfast, Northern, and, but I have to rewatch that. And also, I really want to rewatch Last Crusade.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, he's in Marnie.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I feel like he was good in that.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the film in a while, so I can't remember.
I think he strikes me as one of those actors that's sort of like, oh God, I have to think of a comparable actor now. He sort of strikes me as like I suppose Richard Jenkins, maybe.
Okay.
Where he's kind of, maybe not Richard Jenkins. Maybe you could give me a better example, Sam. The type of actor who is, he's the same in everything that he's in, and that's enough, you know? Like, he is just a comfortable enough presence that he can be Sean Connery, and that's enough. Maybe Morgan Freeman is like...
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, yeah. It was like, he's always Samuel L. Jackson, and that's enough.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way. It's not like, oh, you can only do the one thing. It's like, no. I came wanting Sean Connery, and that's what I got, and I'm happy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I do reckon we've got to put the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen up there.
Do we? Must we? Isn't that what made him retire?
Essentially, yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, that was arguably what the one of the worst things he's ever done.
Oh yeah, Zardoz has got to be up there as well. That's always, that George. You've probably seen him in like the Mankini with like.
Oh, is that what it's from?
Yeah.
Oh right.
Zardoz.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not good. Wasn't he voted sexiest like star of the century or something like that?
Yeah,
was he?
Something like that.
Yeah,
he's a very attractive old man.
Yeah, definitely had sex appeal.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing because obviously I think he's prior to Craig, he's the Bond that had his shirt off the most or something like that.
Right.
And it's because he was Bond at the time where having like a hairy chest was like popular in terms of what was sex appeal. So it was just right. How many films can we get him to have his shirt off in?
I feel like if Sean Connery was about now as a young man, then he would be a gay icon.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah.
I genuinely think he would.
That's not a bad shout.
Is that just because what was considered manly in the 60s is what's considered gay now? Like, is that just like a sign of times progressing, or do you think like you are literally just that man put into this time period?
Well, there are plenty of actors and singers or whatever that aren't gay that have nevertheless become gay icons, right? And I think he'd be a bear, basically, wouldn't he? Not fat, but like hirsute. And, I guess in the way that Tom Hardy kind of is, I feel like he might be popular in the gay community.
Tom Hardy's jacked, though, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Connery...
I think Tom Hardy's popular in most communities, to be honest.
Yes, he's jacked, but Connery was like... Was he Mr. Unit? No, that was Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
He was a bodybuilder, though, wasn't he? I'm sure he was.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think Sean Connery was a bodybuilder.
He probably was. I can imagine that.
Okay. He doesn't look like he has a bodybuilder physique. He looks like he's in good shape, but not a bodybuilder, I would say.
Well, like 60s bodybuilder, Like, I feel like they never used to be that ripped.
Just like
never used to be
bulbous muscles, like sprouting out of every like square inch of skin.
Yeah, like that just didn't exist back in the day, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like
even different standards for health, wasn't there?
Well, I mean, even the wrestlers, like Big Daddy, like they're just fat. They're just big. Yeah, they're not like ripped. They're not John Cena, I suppose that the advent of steroids and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not that.
Right. Okay.
That's what, like, we expect Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson now, but back in the day, Sean Connery was the hench,
right.
Male leading man.
Yeah,
that's better, innit?
What's better?
Connery.
Oh, Connery is Connery hench is better than Tom Hardy hench
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
he also could have had a dad bod, and I think no one would have cared.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the appeal with like Tom Hardy hench? Like, obviously, like, oh, he's in very good shape. That's an attractive prospect. But I don't know. Like, if you were to like put your head on Sean Connery's tummy, like if you were to lie down on his tummy, it'd be a lot more comfortable than lying down on Tom Hardy's tummy.
Yeah,
it'd just be like really hard and like uncomfortable. Whereas Connery, you got a little bit of you got a little bit of padding there.
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to ask people who find that sexually attractive, I suppose. Well, Eddie, do you find that sexually attractive?
No, I'd rather a Sean Connery.
You would rather a Sean Connery?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, people who find Tom Hardy sexually attractive, write in, tell us what the appeal is.
Yeah,
tell us you wouldn't prefer like a dad bod or like a tummy that you could lay down on and it's like, oh, this is comfortable.
I could be wrong. I could be way off the mark here, but I feel like most do, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah, most prefer like a normal human being, like shape with a bit of muscle or whatever, than like a Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
it's just excessive, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Okay. Without Sean Connery.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And yes, we've talked about how attractive you are more than your film career.
Right. Genuine question.
Mm-hmm.
So for the sake of the listeners, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon. The sun is still out. Like, it's starting to set, but it's still out. It's still very clearly daytime.
Mm-hmm.
Is someone setting off fireworks?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Leftovers.
Yeah,
Literally, what is the... It's going to be dark in an hour.
I don't know. I mean, I've never understood the thing with fireworks. They were doing it a couple of houses away from me last night through like the early hours.
Right.
I don't understand the appeal anymore.
I mean, I live in a prime location for fireworks in terms of being able to see displays, because I could see a display from every which way I looked yesterday.
Yeah.
To the extent that we heard one in the house that sounded ridiculously close, as if it had hit the house, and then we went into the garden and there was a firework by the back door.
All right. Okay.
So a rocket has obviously hit the back wall somewhere and dropped down.
Had it gone off at least?
Well, I'm assuming it had gone off, hit the wall on its way down, and then dropped. But it was just that thing. It was like, well, we knew we heard something, so it was a firework. But it did also mean that because I popped out to go to the shop yesterday evening, I was like, I'm gonna go out the front door then,
just in case
don't blow
up.
Seems like a safer bet.
Yeah. Yes, because bonfire nights. Obviously, it was bonfire night yesterday in the UK. Is that just a UK thing?
Yeah.
It is just a UK thing.
Yeah, because of Houses of Parliament, isn't it?
Yeah. I know it's because of Houses of Parliament. I didn't know if it was like Halloween where it had started to. There were like other countries that would let off fireworks.
No, I don't think so. I think because in America they've got. I feel like Independence Day for the 4th of July weekend is their fireworks.
But it was thing. They've got Independence Day, they've got Thanksgiving. Black Friday is obviously a massive deal in comparison to over here.
We've got Black Friday now. We've got 2 Black Fridays.
Yeah.
Because we already had a Black Friday, but now we've got the American Black Friday as well.
Yeah, but the American Black Friday is better deals.
No. The British Black Friday is that you go out drinking the Friday before Christmas and everyone gets drunk and there are lots of fights.
Jordan, I work
that's clearly the superior Black
I work
Friday,
in a pub, Jordan. Why would that be fun for me?
Because it's fun for the people who go to the pub, and as someone who works in the pub, you should know that it's the customer that matters. So I think it's disgraceful. Eddie,
I will point out, I did also.
You don't seem to care about your customers' well-being.
I don't care about them. No. I did learn in the last week. Like this sounds really stupid, but it is officially illegal to be drunk in a pub. Like obviously, there's the whole like don't do drunk policies and does. But in certainly, I think it's England and Wales. There is a law old law that still exists, which means technically speaking, if you're drunk in a pub, you're breaking the law.
Right. Okay.
And
is it one of those antiquated laws?
It's an old thing.
Like
it's an old.
Suicide carries the death penalty. One of those laws.
It's an old thing, and I was just like, the one place where it's illegal to be drunk is the place where you drink. Okay.
I don't think they foresaw binge drinking on the level that the UK binge drinks when they made that law.
No, I think they all thought we'd have a couple of glasses and then it'd be done.
Okay, what do you think is unique about the UK in that it generates such binge drinking? What is it about the UK?
Yeah, because it's definitely... Obviously, other countries do it, but the UK definitely has a reputation, doesn't it?
Yes, we're the worst, hands down.
I mean, we do have a very high number of pubs, which does contribute.
But I think that's more to serve the fact that there are binge drinkers rather than the binge drinkers came around because there were loads of pubs.
Chicken and egg, I don't know.
The example I'll use is like where I spent a lot of time living in Macclesfield. People drink, the drinking rate there is higher than it used to be when I lived there.
Right.
And pubs which we always thought would shut have boomed in the last 10 years.
Maybe they miss you, Eddie. It's like, oh, Eddie's gone. There's nothing to do now. I guess we'll just go to the pub.
Just all go to the Nag's Head, innit?
Yeah.
Nag's Head, yeah. So what do you think? What is it about the British psyche?
It must be the country, right? The country that we live in, because most countries do the 9 to 5 thing. It's not like we have a unique way of life.
No.
Obviously, you have cities like New York, which are far denser and they have a far more accelerated way of living. So it's not like, this came from like the lifestyle that everybody has in London and it trickled down. It's like, no, everybody has like busy metropolises. Everybody has that kind of typical 9 to 5 work week. So it must be, the country. But we live in, maybe it's just because we live in Wales, but like generally speaking, the UK is not a bad looking country. It's not like we live in Soviet Russia where it's all just concrete, you know?
No, I think the 9 to 5 thing is part of it, right? The whole work thing is geared around 9 to 5 on Monday to Friday, and then you get your pay and you go out drinking. That is like the
and then
the understanding.
Yeah, and then if you don't drink on the Friday, you drink on the Saturday, because that's what a lot of people do because they know they're off on the Sunday.
Because they can take all of Sunday to recover. Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead is the perfect thing of that, like because that's just set on a Sunday hangover day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's part of it. I think it's because we are uniquely inhibited.
I don't know. I mean, I think I feel like when it comes to drinking as a country, we probably figured out that the more we drank and the stupider we were, the more fun we were probably having.
Yeah, but do we need that more than a lot of other countries?
Not necessarily, but I think it's such an ingrained thing now that whatever did kickstart it won't stop it now. Because it's like when you turn 18, the first thing people do most of the time these days, if you haven't already broken drinking laws and done it when you're younger, is you go out. Like as a student, when we were 18, we were on the piss nearly every night.
Well, that's the thing. If you like in the UK, more often than not, like you've already had a drink, you've already been drunk before you turned 18.
Oh yeah,
that's just something you do. Like even I did it. Like obviously I was in a group of friends where a lot of my friends were older, so they were going to the pub because they were of legal drinking age. So I just went with them and started drinking. You know?
Yeah.
I do think there's a dourness endemic to British people that means we have to drink to enjoy ourselves more.
Okay. Is it the weather?
That's part of it, that it's just bleak.
But because it's not, we don't live in like hurricane territory. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have any like horrible, like significant meteorological events. But it's very
Imagine how much we would drink if we had hurricanes.
But it's miserable weather, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's that thing of...
And it's changeable as well. Like, you could be having a nice day and then on a dime it could be miserable.
Yeah, like there's a psychospheric kind of implication, isn't it? So, like, in Seattle, where there's a high suicide rate because, well, people have chalked that up to the fact it rains a lot there. You get grunge out of that because people are just in damp basements all the time.
Yeah.
That's where grunge... And similar with Manchester, you know, like post-Thatcher, bleak industrial north... You get Joy Division and you get the Smiths, and then later you get Oasis, you know. There's that whole, you're on the dole and you want to escape. There's that whole element to it, and I think maybe that's also tied in with drinking.
Yeah.
So you do it to escape where you are, basically. Because I was thinking as well about like going off to university. Like a lot of British kids, they then go off to university and they start getting pissed all the time. Like in America, that would be even more of a case for that because they often leave the state, you know, and seem further away. But I just think Americans require it less.
Well, as I say, I think also we've fine-tuned drinking and sport to be synonymous with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like, obviously when like people watch the Super Bowl, they do drink. Like that's not a thing. But like, you know, going to watch like a Premier League football match, I've got to have 7 pints at least to get through 90 minutes of football. You know, that is a thing. Going to festivals, let's get a drink.
Yeah, it's all tied up with it. I mean, over here we have pre-drinks. We have...
Yeah, that is true. We are the people behind pre-drinks that went, I need to get drunk before I go out drinking.
I remember always thinking pre-drinks was the most stupid thing, because I like, pre-drinks is before you start drinking. Pre-drinks is any time that you're not drinking.
This is drinking, what we're doing now.
Yeah. But no, pre-drinks just means drinking before you really start drinking.
Yeah.
It's got to be a very British thing.
Which is always, the stupidest thing about it was always that, okay, we've had drinks, we're drunk, let's go out to the club. And by the time you've like got to the club and you've queued up and you're inside, you've sobered up again.
That's why I always hated pre-drinks.
Because you often used to come round to mine.
Yeah.
and then we'd have pre-drinks with like my flat, and then we'd go to a club somewhere.
Yeah.
But that is like, it's the whole point of it though, isn't it? Because you get pissed, you sober up waiting to get into the club, and then you spend money in the club, and then you get pissed again.
Yeah. I guess I always thought the idea of pre-drinks was that you don't have to spend as much when you're out.
I mean, I think it is, but it doesn't work that way because
it doesn't work because it always takes too long to get to the actual club.
Yeah.
Especially, that's the thing with pre-drinks, when there's like a group of more than 6 or 7 of you, and you've got to navigate a group, it just takes forever.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it does.
What should be 10 minutes is like an hour.
You got 3 people who want to go to this club, but 2 people don't want to go there, and you got 4 people who want to go there, but that person's banned, and you got to take all that shit into consideration.
Yeah.
But again, we have the whole, you've got to catch up. You know, when someone turns up late.
Oh yeah, when someone turns up late and it's like, right, you neck 4 drinks and then fucking get on it. All right, we do some shots. We'll find you a girl. You can have a one night stand. That's your punishment for being in work until fucking 1 a.m. Like,
I think that's a big part of it, though, right? That's a big part of it, isn't it? Like chatting up girls and having sex, basically, is that just most people can't facilitate that when they're sober.
Yeah, we don't do well at talking without alcohol.
Yeah,
as a country.
Yeah,
like I have often thought, like, if Boris Johnson was like absolutely sauced when he was talking, like doing a speech, it would be hilariously funny to watch him every single time.
Yeah, but don't we just kind of like, we just like it, do you know what I mean? When someone's drunk, like, hey, it's just like, we celebrate it almost. I mean, my grandfather has always said to me, it is like a joke about me, like, hopefully being successful has always been, when you make your first million, then you'll buy me a pint. That's what he's always said to me.
Yeah.
Like, since I was a kid. Nothing, just a pint. It's always been a pint. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make your first million, then you buy me a pint. It, like, I feel like that encapsulates a lot of it.
Well, I've had numerous encounters where I've like been at a club and I haven't really been drinking, and there's just been this sort of this stranger nearby who goes, "You're not drinking? No. Why?"
Yeah.
Like they seem almost not insulted. Some of them are insulted, but some of them are just confused.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, well, why? Why aren't you drinking? What's going on? You know?
Yeah.
We're an interesting bunch, aren't we?
We're also old, aren't we? We're an old people.
Yeah.
I feel like the optimism that you associate with like American youth, we just don't have that over here. It's just like, we know our lot in life, you know.
Yeah.
Our optimism is thinking we might get served at the pub at 16.
Yeah. I think drinking is just like a way of putting up with it until you die. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah.
It comes down to this fundamentally is we've had a 2-week lockdown in Wales. Alcohol is listed as an essential item.
Yeah.
Clothes are not. Like, yeah. I get that most people will have enough clothes to survive a 2-week lockdown, but like, you know, in Cardiff you had the situation where period products were like it was erroneously blocked off as not essential, but you could buy 2 bottles of Baileys and be absolutely loving life.
I suppose you just don't give a shit whatever you do about what you don't have if you're getting pissed,
you know. Like, but like, you know, when it comes to working everything around, like the thing that boosted the economy the most this year was the day the pubs reopened in England.
Yeah.
Like that first weekend, the pubs opened in England, and the amount of money it made was unbelievable.
Can you imagine if they did like the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, but it was on alcohol?
Yeah, drink out to help out.
Half the country would have just died.
That had been in AA meetings by the end of the year. It would have.
Yeah.
All those images of like old men sitting in beer gardens when it was pissing down because they couldn't be inside, but like the pubs had just reopened and like holding their hands over their heads because it was raining. They're like drinking their pints. They had to be out.
I feel like I've told you guys this story. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but the occasion where I walked past my pub and there was a group of people sat on one of the tables that was still outside, and they were all sat there with glasses that they'd most definitely nicked from the pub on previous occasions, drinking drinks from the shop that they'd bought. So they'd filled up these glasses. They just all bought a glass with them. And there's nothing to me more British than using stolen glasses with cans from another shop and sitting outside a pub. Like, to me, that's the amount of times I've been in a beer garden with someone who has bought their own cans and just is topping up because it's cheaper is unbelievable.
The pub really is the hearth of like culture, isn't it? Because like Yeah, like those people probably could have like gone to like the park, or they probably could have stayed at home. If some of them were living together, they could have stayed at home and just drunk on their sofa and just be watching TV and chat and like chatting. But they're like, no, we have to go to the pub. It's not right. It's not proper if we're not drinking outside the pub. That's where we need to be. Like, that's how sort of important it is.
I suppose it's just it's an ancient forum, isn't it? I mean, it's probably where British people always met, either church or the pub.
Yes.
So and in those days, you could have got red wine in the church. So
yeah, I mean, that's where people socialised.
Yeah.
Over mead.
Yes.
Or something.
Yes.
And so that's just kind of, it's ingrained in our culture now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of lockdown, sort of, have you guys heard about a new film coming out called Lockdown?
There's a film coming out called Lockdown.
Go on. What is it?
This is the first of, I'm sure, many to come. This is the premise. A quarrelling couple make peace in order to take advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic and pull off a jewellery heist at the Harrods department store. It's directed by Doug Liman. It's written by Stephen Knight, and it stars Anne Hathaway, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Ben Stiller, Stephen Merchant, and a bunch of other people.
Right, okay.
Mark Gatiss and Ben Kingsley, I'm looking at now, are also on that list.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling.
We were worried about this, weren't we?
We were. Lucy Boynton is in it.
I'll go see it if Lucy Boynton's in it.
And Do They Hill, weirdly enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Weird little mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I don't want it. You know?
I mean, if like COVID-19 is the springboard for the story, like it's actually just a funny heist film or like a dramatic heist film, but COVID is like the thing that starts the plot, I'll live with it. Yes,
fair enough, but it is called Lockdown.
Yeah.
So you gotta think it's gonna be more.
Oh, they'll definitely push it as like this is a COVID film. They're definitely gonna push that angle.
The first full-on COVID film.
Yeah.
Because there've been a few little TV shows that have tried to do it.
What was that show with David Tennant and
Staged?
Yeah.
Thingy.
Michael Sheen, that's the one. Yeah.
Staged, which was all recorded over Skype during lockdown. And it is literally just them. The show is they're just in isolation.
Yeah.
They're self-isolating and talking. That's literally the show.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a few other shows or like films that have been made in lockdown conditions.
Yeah.
There was like an HBO film, I can't remember the name of it now. Yeah, there have been a couple. I just don't want it to become the trend. I feel
it's going to be the trend. It's going to be the
trend.
I know.
This is definitely the start of something. There's no way that this is going to be the anomaly.
Yeah.
I like I was wondering about that because there's so many commercials now. I know you don't really watch TV anymore, Sam, nor you, I don't think, Eddie.
I will say, yeah. Unless it's Great British Bake Off, I probably have watched it on live TV in a very long time. Okay, so you
still see commercials a little bit through Bake Off.
Yeah.
There's loads of commercials where they're filmed on mobile phones or they're filmed over Skype.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, like, how much of their advertising costs gone down, and whether that's something they're going to stick to. Whether they're going to stick to like mobile phone footage, or because like, we hired this guy, we filmed it on this phone. It cost us like what, £100 to do this commercial, rather than the like hundreds of thousands we would have been spending on it before.
Yeah.
If it's cost effective, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah. I like the ones that are more creative about it. Have you seen the EE advert with Kevin Bacon where he's selling the new iPhone?
Which one?
But it's him sitting in a cafe.
Yes. I have seen that.
Yeah, obsessing over this iPhone. And then there's a guy standing outside the window in the rain staring at him.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously filmed in such a way that it obeys social distancing rules. But the way it's filmed, you don't even think of that when you're watching the commercial.
Yeah.
It wasn't until afterwards I realised, that's probably why they did it. But it looks like a proper commercial. So I prefer stuff like that that's sort of like creative about how it gets around it.
Yeah. You know, all these productions that are still filming during lockdown, there's no way they can be abiding social distancing protocols, is there?
Absolutely not.
Well,
no.
I know what EastEnders is doing.
What are they doing?
So, obviously, EastEnders has a lot of couples. They were doing more scenes where people were stood further apart.
Yeah.
But in scenes where the actors would usually be close with each other, they've got like a real life partner comes in and does like that and stuff like that.
Right. And they reasoned that was better than just stopping it. I would have much preferred if they just stopped making EastEnders.
Well, Hollyoaks stopped. Hollyoaks' solution seemed to be to have two of the characters sitting on a couch going, "Hello, this is Hollyoaks. We're now gonna play some footage from Hollyoaks."
Are they Welsh?
Oh, whatever Hollyoaks is. I don't know where Hollyoaks is.
It's not Wales.
They're young and they have an accent. I don't know where they're from.
Okay.
That was my pan accent.
It's set in Chester, Jord.
Chester. Okay. What does Chester sound like?
I don't know, it's Chester North.
A more northern version of me.
Yeah.
Is it basically Manchester?
It's near enough, yeah.
Or is that like a faux pas? Is that like saying, Canada's basically America?
No, they're close enough.
Go on then, George. Give us your Chester.
Oh, please do a Manchester accent. I can't.
I genuinely can't remember what Manchester people sound
like Liam Gallagher.
Liam Gallagher.
Or Noel Gallagher.
Noel Gallagher.
Just say, alright,
Manchester.
Just say, alright, kid.
Alright, kid. I'm from Manchester.
Do you know what? I can leave happy now that I've had George say, alright, kid on a podcast. Oh, dear.
What's another thing that Manchester people say?
Give us me money.
Give us me money, alright.
That's more Scouse though, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that was more Scouse than...
Give me money. Yeah, that's Liverpool. Yeah. I don't know, what is a Mancunian thing to say? Arcade, that's definitely a Mancunian thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Eddie, you would know more about this than I do.
I know, and other than saying things like "Glory, Glory, Man United" or whatever the Manchester City theme is, I can't think of what people shout during the middle of the street. Arcade is the one thing that I remember, because I always remember being in Piccadilly train station and someone shouting, "Oh, alright, Arcade," and so many people turned around, like trying to see who was talking, as if like they knew. That is like, I think, the most synonymous phrase with Manchester.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I've just butchered it
massively.
Podcast.
Absolutely massively.
Okay.
Totally worth it.
So yeah, lockdown. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop being a thing, please.
I mean,
and all of the films that are going to follow in its wake, stop being a film. Stop being a thing.
Yeah.
No, stop being a film. That's good enough.
Yeah, that'll do. Well, the thing is, I think most people probably long for a return to normalcy, don't they?
Yeah.
So, like, when we emerge from the mire of this situation, people aren't going to want to watch films about COVID or set during COVID. They're going to want to just get back to normal.
Yeah, of course.
Basically ignore it. But I think that's going to run contra to what most writers, the instinct of most writers to write contemporary stories.
Also, I don't think we have enough distance from COVID for someone to have something to say that people don't already know.
Yeah, that it's bit hard.
It's not as if you're going to grant us a fresh perspective on COVID. We all pretty much know how we all feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, how long did it take after World War II ended for them to make films about World War II?
I don't know.
No, I mean, like, obviously Schindler's List is ridiculous. Like, there's films that came before Schindler's List, but that was like way off after World War II, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that probably did have the benefit of hindsight, and also, well, mainly just the benefit of hindsight. It's like, we have enough distance from this event that we can look at it through a specific lens now, or we can, have a different perspective on it.
The thing for me is, I can see that there's going to be like 20 writers all in like one street, and they are all going to sat there and go, do you know what's a unique angle on the pandemic? A story about mental health in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we're going to get the same story over and over again.
Oh my God, what if like this couple were like living together, right? And they broke up and they were about to move out, but then like lockdown happens and they have to like live with each other?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be just like that. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. I just I don't know. It's
that is
really lost my thread.
That's that silence sums up our opinion.
It was such a horrible idea, Eddie, that Sam lost all capacity to think for a moment.
I did.
That sums up why you shouldn't make a lockdown film. Writers that are listening,
because Sam, a genius, will lose the ability to think.
No, I just think that the only like with World War II, there's enough variety of stories to be told about that and perspectives. I mean, COVID, everyone has their own experience with it, but what stories are there to be told about it? with World War II, we still don't really know the full extent of what happened there. With COVID, because of the way the world is now, we know everything about everything now.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing to be discovered about any of this. There have been a few documentaries about it. That's fine. Documentaries are acceptable. But there's no story to tell. It's a virus.
Most people's stories of COVID was, I stayed at home.
Yeah.
Like, I kept going to my job, or I got fired from my job, and I stayed at home.
Yeah, like, that's it.
Yeah.
I will accept one film about COVID, and that is, like, the tell-all biopic 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
That's, like, a proper, like, what happened film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have anything else to talk about?
I don't think we do.
I don't have anything. I mean, I haven't talked about Rebecca at all.
Oh, no. Well, this is your last chance, so...
yes. I like how we just completely forgot about, like... I purposely watched
You're the
them.
one with the list, Eddie.
I know, and I purposely didn't have it up for the last three topics.
Our last item can be, Eddie, your review.
Okay, so there is a new version of Rebecca.
What is Rebecca?
That's on Netflix. It was a book by Daphne du Maurier, which in 1940, it's 1941 he won the Oscar for it. But 1940s it was directed by Hitchcock in what was a best-winning feature film, which it's a very good film.
Is it considered like quintessential Hitchcock?
It's up there. It's one of, because it's the only film of his that he directed that won an Oscar for like best picture.
Right, yeah, okay.
But yeah, like it is very good. The black and white definitely helps, like, bring the intensity in some of the moments. It is well written in terms of adaptation. It's well directed, obviously. Mm-hmm. So to sort of go from that, and like even in like 1997, there was like a TV, I think it's German TV version of the book, which was, had its like unique thing, and then you get this, which its only real unique thing is that it's shot in color. Yeah, it's not particularly greatly acted. It's not particularly well written. And
so it sounds like your typical remake where it's here's a property that has some like staying power to it. Let's just sort of redo it for a modern audience.
They shoved Lily James and Armie Hammer in it, who, like, Lily James is a fairly decent name to put in a film at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's directed by Ben Wheatley. Yeah. But yeah, it's not great. It's really not great. And my biggest issue was it does fall into that category. There's nothing really unique about it. And if you're going to remake a film or, remake something, like, do something with it. Like, actually, like, have some fun with the story. Don't just go, what's basically a colour version of the one that won an Oscar? Let's do that.
It's a strange film to remake if you're not going to do anything new with it.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone knows Rebecca. Like, obviously they're going to remake Rebecca at some point. It's not one of those films.
Yeah.
So it is bizarre to be remade with no invention or imagination whatsoever. I haven't seen it, but
I
that's what I've heard.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't like recommend it.
No.
In comparison.
What's your relationship with Rebecca, Eddie? Why were you compelled to watch the two and compare them and sort of keep up with it?
Because I'm a Hitchcock fan. So because I'm a Hitchcock fan and I knew that was the film that had won the Best Picture, like, I was like, okay, I want to see what they're doing with it now, see whether they've come up with something interesting for it, and like, they haven't. It's got I'm trying to find the actress's name now. Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah, she plays Mrs. Danvers.
Mrs. Danvers. Probably the best bit about it.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Danvers is one of the all-time iconic villains of cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the name Rebecca, but I knew the name Mrs. Danvers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she Kristen Scott Thomas is fair, like, she's probably the best performance out of the lot. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't say that is saying much.
Okay.
So yeah, it's for me, it's a big old shame, because I was kind of hoping it would be a bit exciting given some of the cast, but it's really not. How
faithful an adaptation is it of... Well, is it adapting the book or is it adapting the film?
So it's adapting the book, but it is basically... Like, there are moments where you can see what shot it feels like they've looked at the old film and seen what shot they made and then gone, well, if we position our shot so it's the same location but slightly different, we can get away with not being a shot-for-shot remake.
Right. Well, I think it's got pedigree to it, you know? It's got Ben Wheatley directing, Armie Hammer, Lily James, Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yep.
Who wrote it?
Jane Goldman.
Okay, so she's written a couple of good films. She's Jonathan Ross's wife, I believe.
Yes.
She wrote Kick-Ass and Stardust. Yeah, so she's written some good films. So it is a shame, but then again, I suppose to be expected in a way. Like they weren't going to one up Rebecca.
No, but I think I wanted something. You know, if you're gonna, as much as I don't like films that necessarily do this, if you're gonna remake Rebecca now, set it now. Don't where it was set when it was made in the 40s.
Oh, is it the same? It's set in the same time period.
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah, completely same time period. And that's the thing. Like that's why I say it doesn't do anything really spectacular. You know, if they'd done a modern update in some way where it was smart about the modern update they'd done, I would have been like, meh, do you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah. Do you think that's a product of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or do you think they were too scared to make any changes to Rebecca? Because it is very strange that like the way you're describing it to me doesn't sound like, apart from the performances and like you said, the fact that it's obviously filmed with modern tech, it doesn't sound like anything at all has changed.
I'm going to say it's the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach, but I don't really get I don't get it.
I suppose they've just done a straight up adaptation of the book, haven't they? When was the book written?
The book was written, it came out in 1938.
Okay, and the film was like 1940, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably did that then. They probably just said, rather than an homage to the film necessarily, it's just a straight up adaptation of the book. But yeah, the problem is we've already had the film.
Yes, and it was a film directed by Hitchcock, which is always difficult to go up against.
Yes.
And again, it was going up against a version which had won Best Picture, and that was always going to be, again, hard to do.
I've heard that one of its apparent pluses is that it gives more agency to the Lily James character, or something like that.
Yeah, there's probably a bit more to her. Like there's a bit. So for context of the story, she basically finds out that he is responsible for the death of Rebecca, who is the former Mrs. De Winter.
Yes,
and in the actual book, he legitimately kills her. With both film adaptations, it's kind of loosely he was involved, but not necessarily the guilty party.
Right,
and that's like the one thing that has been changed in both. But yeah, in this, like when they find out that she's gone to a doctor's in London, Lily James's character goes to London herself and like goes off on to like try and find out the information, make sure someone doesn't like change the doctor the information or whatnot. And that's not in the original. That's a unique experience, but I don't like
not enough.
It's not enough, and yeah, I just think there was more you could have done with it. Like
overall, the film just doesn't justify itself.
Yeah, it completely doesn't justify itself at all.
Surely it seems like that would be your compulsion as a filmmaker. Surely it's like, right, I'm adapting a book that already has an Oscar-winning adaptation.
Yeah,
what am I going to do that's different?
I've never understood this impulse to remake good films.
Yeah.
Remake a film that was bad. That had potential.
I think
has that ever been done?
Well, I was going to say, even if it had, so like with Disney, they've done the modern remakes of like The Lion King and stuff like that. The unique angle with that is it's now a live action. Yes. So you've got like something there. Whether it's good or not is a different matter. But you've got something there. The unique difference between these two films is that one is in color and one is in black and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's about it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, can we think of a film that was bad that got remade and it was good? There must be examples of it.
There must be, but I genuinely can't think of any.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that idea suggested before. Because surely that's the more, not just the more productive thing to do, but that's the more challenging thing to do as a filmmaker. It's like, right, here is this property, or here is this film that has a bad reputation and is fundamentally flawed. What can I do to fix it?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I guess it's just if we remake something that was popular, it'll be popular, and so we can make money.
That seems to be the trend now with readaptations or remakes. Is it's basically the same, but any women characters have more agency. That seems to be the trend.
Yeah.
The thing that modernizes it.
Yeah, to go back to the Disney example, Eddie, all of the Disney remakes have done that. They've given the female leads more songs, you know?
Yeah.
Or made a guy gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
I tell you what, I know what you could argue. The Ocean's 11 with George Clooney and that.
Yes.
That is reviewed better than the old version.
Yes.
But other than that, no idea.
Not Ocean's 8 though, right?
Oh god, no. That was terrible. Well, it's been a pleasure, gents.
Yeah, it's suddenly very sad.
Yeah, I don't want to go now.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I will be avidly listening from this point onwards.
Yes.
To hear what you guys churn out for. Without me, no doubt, will be about 7 hours worth of audio.
Yeah. Well, you're always welcome back, of course.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah.
Until now, it's a farewell to you guys and a farewell to the audience. So, ciao, ciao. Grow a pair, you sloppy bastard.
When lockdown ends, we all gather and have a drink over our achievements so far.
Well, mine'll be a soft drink, but yeah.
Yes, as a send-off.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Let's not cry too much.
No, we're dragging out for the listeners now.
Yes.
They forgot about this 5 minutes in when we started chatting shit.
They did. All right. Yeah. Bye, Eddie.
Bye.
Bye, Eddie.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, listeners.
Bye.
Bye.